We go again. Episode number 12, this one is. I do a wee thing, I had to actually stop, I take two, I had to stop and think what number it was, I had to look back. It's getting to that stage already. And thank you all again for coming and joining in. This one I am going to be talking about, the heading for it, the name of this one is Dundee. I was at work this morning, I'm thinking, what can we call this one? What's this one about? I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days, and obviously the week that's coming up, the tour starts on Sunday in Dundee, and it's got me thinking about, and the timing as well. I'm recording this on Wednesday, it's going to be released on the Friday again, but the Scotland game is on tonight. Watching Scotland. I won't be tonight. I watched the first 10 minutes of the game. I've not watched football since I stopped playing it. I gave it up. I lost. I fell out of love with it. It broke my heart, and I got to a point where I just couldn't watch it. And even still, if there's a really significant game on with the kind of, depending on what's involved in it, I may well watch it. But in terms of the modern game, especially the Scottish football and the Premier League and that kind of stuff, the way that the game is now played, I am definitely old. The whole possession thing and watching it. So that wasn't out of anything other than, with Scotland the other night, I started watching it. I could feel how it was going to go very quickly. It just lets you see, lets you see so many things when you watch something like that, and you see how people perform under stress and under pressure. And I suppose a particular interest with me because of my football, my life in football up until the first 20 years of my life was all about football. They talk about 10,000 hours to mastery. I would pretty much guarantee that I passed that probably before the age of 5. So the whole life was just football and being good at it, and believing that's the only thing I was ever going to do. And then watching that being kind of taken away, and then giving it up, absolutely, giving up my dreams and not playing, and then watching now the way that I see it. And the way that I know that I was the best football player in the world, I was maybe the best goal scorer in the world. We'll never know, but I was. How good would that be? But I wasn't the best football player in the world. But I think I understood what it took to play football properly and to win games. Things like keeping the ball, things like possession, things like being able to use both your feet and being able to control the ball would be great. I watched one of the games, 5 minutes here last night, and then it was just the difference. It was Portugal was on, and the difference between, the ability to control the ball, to just be able to, that first touch, and then the second touch that isn't either a shy or a slide tackle. So the basic things, the basic foundations, which I see as well. Where I live, there's football matches on all the time, Wayne's games, and both male and female. The amateur game, there's loads of parts on about here when I'm taking Murph out, and obviously the amount of times when I watch it, and it's not really progressed that much over the last 20-25 years. In terms of the techniques and the abilities, and I know they've probably changed the focus in terms of how they want to do it, but the evidence is that it isn't working. It really isn't, for many reasons. So when I tuned in the other night in the first 10 minutes, and I thought, this is making me feel terrible. Just the vibration of it. Just watching this, and that whole like manning up and fighting and let's Scottish. That doesn't work. That really doesn't work. I remember back in the day we used to, the Scottish teams when they went to World Cup, back to like probably Spain in 1982, or and you would watch the Scottish people when they get the ball, and for some kind of strange, whatever it was, belief system or just how we did it, we always believed that the wee running with the ball could travel faster than actually just passing the ball. And you would watch all these, particularly the Brazilians back in the 80s, but these different teams, from just moving the ball about, and then watching Scotland, every time we got it, the desire to sprint and try and get by somebody and batter into the box or get a shot. It was fascinating. Now watching it now, when you see them before it, like all the let's go and let's get into them, that doesn't work. It's evolved too much. And it shows a lack in many different areas of us in our culture and being Scots. The inability to deal with that situation. Everybody, not just the team, but the management and the entire, all the backroom staff and the whole thing, whatever it is, who they've got working with them, to get them to be able to walk onto that pitch and perform properly. that's something that obviously they don't know how to do. It's all good and well with all the training and the practice and everything else, but when you actually walk across the line, that's when it begins, and we were absolutely found wanting. So the timing of this and the timing of the Scottish tour and the timing of not getting up to Dundee, I've been thinking a lot about Dundee the last couple of days. And it's one of the places, over the last couple of years I've got to know a fair bit about Dundee because of the people that I've met through this work. And some of the stories I've heard, and some of just tragic circumstances that so many people are living in up there. It's been it's no easy, and the way that we decided to go to Dundee, the way I decided to go to Dundee, it was sitting in meditation, and I remember back at the when we did the Heal Scotland stuff right at the beginning, and I was doing the Breathing Believes up at Loch Lomond and then Edinburgh. And then we went to St Andrews, which was great. Probably did how many over the years? 7, 8, 9 over a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. And the intention is to heal Scotland. And I remember at the time, right from the very beginning, obviously the work and how the work comes through and who it comes through is going to attract a certain type of person. And the idea and the intention of Heal Scotland is fantastic. But the Scotland that I know, and the Scotland that not that I grew up in, but the Scotland that I certainly worked in, this Central Belt for the best part of my working life, the best part of 30 years, the amount of, our company, the family business was to supply to the councils, the local councils, so I would be in sometimes 20, 30 different houses a day right across the Central Belt, and even further afield than that back in the day, Ayrshire, and the company was all over the place working for the councils. So you get to see where people are, and the last probably 10 years of my working life before this became full-time, before the Vortex became full-time, that my full-time job was in people's houses. Again, I would see between 50 and sometimes 100 people a day, and you would see every type of situation, every type of the type of people, what they're dealing with. I used to, when I walked through the door, a lot of times it would be maybe sometimes the first time they'd seen anybody for days, and it'd be an opportunity to speak and to connect, and at the time I was learning to be a coach. I was learning this stuff. Probably not putting the final touches on it, but I was putting it all together still. And a great time to coach is when you're learning it. I see it all the time in here, when people are learning this stuff, it's a great time it's a fantastic time to do it. And that's what I was doing. And the things that I learned with these people, and hearing their stories and seeing, the challenges that they faced, and on all levels, the environment, absolutely, of course. And what's some of these the places that I used to see, some of the and even in Lanark, people used to ask me often, what's the roughest place that you go to? Where do you go in South Lanarkshire? Because right from kind of Hampden, the cross at Hampden, all the way down to almost the borders. You're all the way down the M74 and this whole Central Belt, which is a kind of real snapshot. Obviously, it's not Glasgow or Edinburgh, but the Central Belt. And some of the roughest, in terms of deprived and the most suffering that people are going through. Some of it I saw in Lanark, 2 minutes from my door, and that's. When normal people don't see that. When normal people, when I see people going to their work and their jobs and whatever it is, whether you're a school teacher or a fireman or whatever it is you're doing, firemen are probably different. They probably see all sorts of stuff. But normal people that are in this kind of bubble, this cocoon, living in their private house and their, maybe making it towards middle class or profession, they're a professional, or that they're in that line of work, educated. And I remember my dad way back in the day actually falling out with a couple of my mum's pals. One of my mum's pals who were associates of the family, and one was a school teacher at the time. This was way back, maybe a business associate actually. And my dad, because of his experience of coming from nothing and then seeing what we were doing at the houses we were working every single day, and some of the stories of just poverty, like not even the breadline, that people literally starving, that you would see, and then the filthy condition that people were in. So he was aware of that. He would have saw that with his business as I did, and then you would get these kind of upper coming, what I used to call them half-baked toffs, people that have got a bit of education, they're making their way up, and then they have no idea, the environment that they're living, that they're surrounded by, they have no idea, for many, many reasons, and I think that's the case for a lot of people, how they don't know, what's going on or how bad it is. And something like that, when you think of Dundee, I mean, what's going on with the addictions and the challenges that they face with all sorts of things, or the drugs, prescription drugs and the illegal drugs, and Obviously alcohol, that's the Scottish disease, isn't it? As well as the Scottish diet, the other Scottish disease, and the environment. There's another kind of Scottish disease, it seems like, there's something about this, in terms of what we're doing to ourselves in this space that we live in, whatever it is. A huge part of it is the diet, a huge part of it is the foods that we eat and what's available to us. Again, a lot of that's dependent on how much money you're bringing in, and then the education, the awareness to see what it is you actually need to make yourself healthy. Whereas most of the food, even if you are going into a supermarket, which a lot of people aren't, a lot of young men, in fact one young lad last year had never had a cooked meal in his life. He'd never cooked a meal. Every single meal had been either fast food or takeaway his entire life. And that's like, holy what? So again, when we look at the challenges that we're facing in terms of disease, in terms of stress, in terms of illness, all the challenges we're facing in terms of addiction, and what people are going through and how they're living their lives, and how that affects everything. Obviously the community and the people that are involved directly in it, watching people going through it. Dundee for me feels like certainly one of the kind of the centres within Scotland, that when I think of like how we take this work to try and help people of Scotland, the real people of Scotland, that's what I see and I hear most days, is stuff like that, the addictions and the mental health and the stuff that's going on with people grieving and trying to recover from whatever it is, whether it's trauma or decimation or whatever they've been through in their life. So the real Scotland, the real people of Scotland, it's in the schemes, it's in that's the normal people in Scotland. Obviously it's everybody, but when I think of Scottish people, I think I see that the groups and the squads going about and the people in the towns, the small towns, not in the big cities, but in all these different towns that half of them you never even heard of. And when you see those people, suffering and struggling, and the challenges that they face, then with this work, the idea is to then go and offer it for anybody who is looking and seeking to find a different way of doing things. That's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about, is to try and help people, and that's really challenging. It isn't easy, and I've really tried over the years to do it, and I continue to do it, and I love doing it. I love helping people. It's the one thing that helps me find relief for all of my many things that I've got going on in my life. When I'm serving others, when I'm doing this work, that's when I'm happiest. And the work itself and what's involved in it, and certainly what's going to be happening with the tour, the plan is to present an opportunity where people can come and get an experience. That's what it is. But we're not going to be showing up and saying, this is it, even though I do believe that it is it. It's certainly it for me. It's certainly it for a lot of people that I know personally now. Friends of the Vortex, students, people that are coming in that are learning these ways of living. We see it every single day. It does very quickly become it, but again, that's really difficult when somebody doesn't know what you're talking about. And it's easy for me, to be sitting down here in Lanark and for the outside, doing great, especially for some of these areas that we're going to be going into. I can imagine how just, it's all right for you. I completely get that. But at the same time, with my experience and the things that I've picked up along my way, the work that I've done in myself and the things that I've been through, and anybody that knows my story, I've been through a whole load of different things, and I'm still standing here moving forward, doing the work the best that I can. I had a beautiful conversation with my wife this morning, which followed on from someone I'm working with who's recovering from childhood trauma just now. And talking about, how do you ever get back to that place of, the way that it was meant to be before the trauma or the heartbreak or the decimation or whatever it is, a significant event that took you away or separated you from, for yourself, for your heart, for your soul, from your spirit, whatever it is that broke you, whatever it is that put you on a different path. For me, it was vaccination. That's the thing that literally it changed my life. It didn't ruin my life, but it certainly tainted it. And there was things before that and there was things after that as well, but that was a real significant event that affected my health in such a negative way, that put me on a completely different path that I'm still on to this day. And the journey that I've been on and the things that I've learned just now, right here and now, sitting here with all this over a quarter of a century experience, the intention's always been to pass it on. I'm saying that to the inner circle just now. My role within this is to pass this on, is to give it to other people. I am one of the elders of the tribe, which is fascinating to me. I'm 52 now, coming up 53. So another 20, 30 years maybe, if I'm spared, God willing, but at some point, the last quarter of a century and everything that I've picked up with this devotional every single day like a dog with a bone, the intention must be to pass it on. Once you get it for yourself, then you must pass it on, and that's absolutely the intention with this tour, and it starts on Sunday up in Dundee, is to pass on the stuff that I've picked up along the way, the things that I've learned that have helped me with all my challenges, so no matter what it is you're coming in with, again, I can only teach from my experience, I can only talk about the things that I've been through, but the negative effects in my life, primarily mental health and physical well-being, absolutely, recovering from childhood stuff, traumas, the vaccine damage, and then before you get to the kind of crossroads of Ibiza and everything that I went through there of almost losing my life, and mental, nervous, emotional breakdown, all the stuff with prescription drugs and the therapies, and then the last 27 years after that, this intentional journey that I've been on of self-discovery, to discover who I really am, and that was the plan right from the beginning. Whatever happened to me over in Ibiza, when I came back, the plan was very simple, to discover something that was real. And the journey that started with that devotional path that started in January 1997 and has been every single day to this day, the things that I've learned along the way and how they have helped me. Once Ibiza stopped me, then again it's like, I suppose it's kind of like a mini, when the world stopped with COVID, and people were given the opportunity. I hear that every day. It was like COVID was the starting point. When I was actually forced, to stop, and so many people like to take stock and have a look and come up and see like what's going on, where am I going, what is it all about? That was what it was like for me in 1996. When I came back, everything had changed. So I had a completely different way of doing everything. I had to start again, and for whatever reason, and I still don't really know to this day how it happened, but I ended up going from personal development into spiritual development, which was 17, 18, 19 years, just like an absolute fiend, the moth to the flame, to discover what enlightenment meant, the divinity that was inside me, which I knew, I could feel it, and by listening and reading and soaking it in with all the great teachers I was blessed by, I was able to then go and discover my interpretation of that, to have the direct experience of the divinity that was inside me. And when I came back for that, then it was really simple, how things then unfolded, all the stuff I'd done previous, how things then unfolded from that point. I've been kind of trying to play catch up, it feels like myself, since that. First of all, it was, the breath work and nature and cold exposure. Back in 2016, that started right about the same time as I opened the centre, just after I opened the centre, 6 months. Funny how that played out, the place opens up and then before you know it, inside 6 months, it becomes all about, that kind of stuff, because the significance of, that part of my journey and what it did for me, especially the breath work and the cold exposure. I already had the spiritual stuff, I already had, the meditation stuff, I already had, I'd worked on all of that, the spiritual journey and what was involved in that, the yoga side, the union with the divine, I'd experienced that, so I kind of had that side of it, but the other bit that was probably missing, in terms of how I manage my nervous system, which had been switched on since I was 13, 14 years old with that vaccine, that chronic stress, that inflammation that was making me sick, and still continues to make me sick to this day, there is no question about it. I am absolutely compromised, my nervous system is absolutely compromised, not just with that, obviously the environment and the Western diet, and I could be in the next 15-20 minutes talking about that, which I'm not going to, but the poisons that are in this world that are making us all sick, I too am dealing with them. I'm fighting against it by doing different things, the protocols I use with the medical medium and the breath work and the cold exposure, and for me, when I really learned how to switch off the nervous system, when I felt the peace, not just peace of mind, but like every single cell in my body was literally turned off for the first time in my life, even though I believe I'd experienced enlightenment through meditation, which is a very active process. This was very different. This was like just stopping completely and giving me a break for me, for Jim. Jim switched on Ness and his constant desire to try and get there, no matter what it was what I was doing, whether it was the athletic stuff, the martial arts stuff, the work that I was doing myself, the spiritual journey, my business. It was always just switched on all the time, and it wasn't until I really came across cold exposure and had the benefit of this massive 300-500% stress getting dumped into my nervous system and my body's stress response. That I really, when I came out of that, what it did for my body, physical pain, again, that's been there since 14, 15 years old. I'm sitting in an ice pack in my back just now. I'm in not constant pain, but it's not far away, the sciatic nerve, my back and my groins and different parts of my body. So what the cold did for that, what the cold did in terms of turning off my physical pain, incredible, inside 2 minutes, when you've been in pain your whole life. And then you add into that as well, with the breath work, the intentional breathing, and the focused breath work that I was doing, what I was able to do, with again, bringing in different chemistry, and really flooding the brain and flooding me with kind of overwhelming in the beginning, which really it gives you that kind of reset, kind of hypothesis, I think, isn't it, where you just basically everything gets switched off. That's what I was experiencing, so the tools and the techniques and how it goes together, the way that it's worked out for me and the things that I'm sharing, I share some really kind of basic fundamental stuff. This isn't me coming about, I'm going to go around about the country and just blast this new original to me my stuff. This isn't what it's about. A lot of it is basically fundamentals. A lot of it is stuff that everybody has access to for free. Almost every single bit of it, has been about for a very long time. It's just been hidden or kept from us. And all I'm really doing is I'm somebody that's put it together, and intention is to basically take it and offer it as a bridge or a shortcut to those who are suffering, those who are struggling. That's what this is. I'm providing an opportunity to say, look, here's what I've learned over the last 27 years. Come and inside probably a couple of hours, give me a couple of hours of your time, you come in with an open heart and an open mind, and you just allow me to take you through the process, and get you to a place that you've probably never experienced before. Definitely possible, but more likely for most people, probably never experienced this before. Because even the ability to switch off stress can be a miracle. Even the ability to switch off your head, like peace of mind can be a miracle for some people. Some people have never slept in their entire life. I remember the first time I heard that, like somebody, I just don't sleep, I can't sleep. And I've got the watches on, and you can see it's like minutes a day if they're lucky with actually able to switch off. So how that goes together, and learning how to do it for yourself, obviously, so you don't need anybody to do it. Learning to breathe, we're talking about, that's probably something we should learn the minute we're able and conscious enough to be able to take in the information, to realise how it goes together, and why you should breathe properly, and all the zillions of benefits, I suppose, when you look at the cells and every single system of the body and how breathing will function and changing the chemistry properly, what that does for you. Your stress, the anxiety, the depressions, the inflammation. It's all inflammation, isn't it? If I hear one mere person talking about a diagnosis, or especially children, the amount of people that are getting diagnosed with stuff just now. A lot of them are happy. A lot of them it gives them explain stuff as to why they're the way they are. I had a sitting in meditation the other morning, and I'm sitting and I'm thinking about, I wonder if I might have the male menopause, because I'm sore everywhere and I don't feel that great, and I'm like, well, what is this? There's like, what's going on, So there's a label for anything. There is. Anybody can label anything, and when you boil it right back and take it right down to what it is that's causing it. Stress and inflammation that's the cause. When you, no matter what it is, by the time it gets to the manifestation of the disease, the dis-ease within the body, if you go back to the source of what it is that's causing it, the toxicity of the stress, it takes the cells in the body and every single bit of you out of balance. The environment that we're in, again, all those different things that basically add to that. If we can learn how to switch that off, if we can basically stop the stress within the body, then obviously, things are going to change very, very quickly. And the body has the ability, this innate ability to bounce back, so quick. It doesn't take long for the body to get back into coherence and back to balance and back to the way that it's meant to be, so that you can then go, if it's your desire, if you're seeking healing, if you're seeking relief, if you're looking for answers, if you're looking for a way to navigate your way back to a place that you're maybe not just now, if you're suffering or in disease, then the body has the ability absolutely to make its way back. And that's where it's interesting. It's not interesting, it's actually tragic when you see the amount of medications and prescription pills and all that kind of stuff that people are being obviously given for free. We don't get it for free, we are paying for it. But in so many ways we're paying for it, whether it's the tax money or whether it's the way that society is going about itself, in terms of how the place is doing, how it's gone. It's not working. The amount of people that are on medication are absolutely compromised. A good friend of mine let me know maybe a couple of weeks ago that was his chemotherapy stopped, and in an instant I thought he'd been hiding a cancer diagnosis from me, and I double take, what do you mean you're what? And it was basically because of his inflammation, the chronic inflammation within his joints. He'd been prescribed chemotherapy. And it took my breath away. It did. It was just another one of them. You know, I hear it all the time. When people come in, the minute you're a lot of physical pain, now people going to have physical ailments, whether it's a stomach or different parts of whatever it is. You know, and the amount of times that people are prescribed like antidepressants, you know, and you're going, what? Like what the you know, the amount of people on like prescription pills that go in for an operation and come out with an addiction to prescription pills. You're going like, how does that happen? Why? What's going on? You know, and these medications, you know, and when you know about chemotherapy and you know the level of toxicity that's in that, the amount of people that die from chemotherapy as opposed to from cancer, that's an interesting statistic. You should go and look up that. You know, the amount of people that is, and that's tragic. That's absolutely tragic. You know, this whole healthcare model that we're living in. You know, the National Health Service and the things that just didn't work. You know, so what I'm seeing every single day, the compromise that people have been placed under because of their medications, because of, you know, because really most people, the only place you can really seek for any, you know, solutions or answers is in, you know, it's in the jungle, it's in the circus, it's in the zoo, it's going into that health centre or going to the hospital, fucking God forbid, and have to sit in one of the A&E rooms and or maybe see a consultant or a doctor or a nurse online. Or if you're lucky seeing somebody in person, you know, so it doesn't work. The whole thing doesn't work. And when you think back to, you know, what it's trying to do, what that whole allopathic, the medical model is trying to do, you've really got to question that. Like, does that work? You know, because by the time it gets to that stage, it's too late. You know, so there again, like, what do you do? Like, how do you fix it? And it's going back to the source. You know, we need to get back to the source of why it isn't working. You know, what is it that's causing the stress? What is it that's causing the inflammation? What is it that's causing the dis-ease? Yeah, and until you fix that, you know, it's like the same as with healing. Like, healing never takes place on the surface level. You need to get back to the source. And find the source of what it is, and it's almost like a bad tooth, you know, where we get it out and we bring it up, and then sometimes you need to kind of spew it. But you know, it's like when you get it up and get it out, then it's gone. You find the relief, and then you know you can bring in a different energy and start for the healing to take place. It's hugely challenging time for so many that we're in just now with so few answers. And the intention with this, you know, when you look at how most people are doing it, you're standing over here going like, I kind of know how this goes together in terms of, for me it's always been spiritual well-being, that's my absolute focus all the time, but also that the health and the mental and the physical and the emotional well-being, obviously that feeds into every single bit of it, you know, so that's exactly, you know, what this tour is all about. It's about giving these tools and techniques, giving people an opportunity to come and experience them and actually leave, you know, with a set of modalities that they can actually practice on their own. You know, the ability to breathe properly, just being able to breathe properly will change your life. You know, and that's before we even take the breath anywhere. You know, that's just a basic, if you breathe in and out through your nose in a certain way, with a certain chemistry in your body for a certain amount of time, then every single cell in your body is going to get better and you're going to feel better and everything shifts in a different direction. And that's just a fact, scientifically proven, but also directly experienced when you know how to breathe functionally. You know, so that's exciting, learning how to breathe to begin with. What that's going to do for you is going to be incredible. And you know, having the awareness to see what you then need, because the nervous system works in two halves. There's the switched on bit, the fight and flight bit, which everybody's in, and then there's the other bit, you know, the rest and digest, the parasympathetic, the other side of the nervous system, which not a lot of people know enough about. The ability to switch it off, to switch the stress off, you know, to give yourself a break so the body can regenerate and recuperate and bring itself back into balance. Sleep is a huge thing. Again, so many people, they don't know how to sleep, they can't sleep. I had a really strong coffee yesterday. I didn't know at the time. I've not been drinking a lot of coffee. I kind of go on and off it. It's one addiction that I can take or leave. It's brilliant, and I really like coffee. But I don't drink it that much, and I can go for months without it, and then I just get bored and have a wee one, and it's when it starts affecting my sleep, as it did last night. I was lying in one of those sleeps where I was asleep, but I was wide awake for about 5 or 6 hours, and then this morning we had the live at 5:30. So it was interesting, you know, feeling that stress in the system again. It's something that I don't really allow into my life much. I police it absolutely, because I was like that my whole life. I was under stress my whole life, you know, because I didn't understand how the nervous system worked. The kind of fight and flight, the switched on, the stress response is great in situations, certain times, but then the ability to switch it off, you know, I mean, you can't switch it off, as I couldn't last night. with that caffeine in my system, it just affects you so negatively in so many ways. What it's doing for your adrenals, what it's doing for the stress response within your body, how that impacts everything. And that was maybe one. It was like one shot of coffee yesterday. About yesterday morning, and I could still feel it at 3-4 o'clock this morning in my bed. And that's because my system is fairly clean just now. And then you think, and I see every day the amount of people are coming in and just guzzling 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes doubles espresso shots a day, driving about looking for the next garage for a wee Costa Express drive-through, whatever it's called. And obviously you only wait for that for a certain period of time. That's obviously going to catch up with you at some point. If your adrenals are under that amount of stress, adrenal fatigue and burnout is such a huge thing just now. People are broken. They're absolutely they're burnt out. So if you're not at that stage yet, then great. So a great opportunity to come and learn just with the breath work. How to switch off your nervous system, which feeds absolutely into sleep. How are you sleeping? Are you able to switch it off? Peace of mind. Are you dreaming? Do you have any dreams? Do you have nightmares? Do you have terrors? Are you snoring? The amount of people that waking up with sleep apnea and waking themselves up, and the amount of people not sleeping properly, the amount of people that are mouth breathing in and out through their mouth at night time and generating stress all night. Again, this is stuff we should learn as children. If you explain to a child the benefits of just nasal breathing and how it's going to impact so many different ways. The great quote from Patrick McFadyen, my teacher, basically says that it's impossible for a child to reach its full potential if they're mouth breathing, because of the stress that it brings in and how the brain develops, how the vital functions, the vital organs and the functions develop as well by being under stress all the time, just by breathing in and out through your mouth. So I was 45, 46 when I started to learn this stuff, and the stress I'd been under for 13, so 30 years of chronic stress, literally every single day. No easy. And when you start to learn, you go like, okay, so now I can do that and I can switch off this stress and I can get to sleep and I can get a break for me and my switched onness, and I can get a break for this reality in this world. Just with breath work, just by giving yourself the opportunity to go in a different direction. As I said this morning on the wee post about the choice, I love the choice. Once you have the awareness of how it goes together, then you can make an informed choice. Ignorance is our only sense. If you don't know and you're going through life and you're just in this place stuck in the rut, and you look at your environment and somebody like me pipes up and goes, right, here's everything that's wrong with the world, and this is why it's affecting you negatively, and then here are the solutions, which is the important part. It's a massive kind of shift. And this day, I'm getting asked all the time, like who's it for? Who is this day for? And now we're talking about the breath work. The way that I do it and the way that I take people through the breathing is very specific. I'm not going to rein it back. I've been thinking about that fairly recently, do I rein it in a wee bit? I often kind of smile when my wife asks me whether I'm doing a corporate gig or whether I'm going to present, whether it's a one-on-one, and what's the plan today? Normally bigger classes or bigger events, and it's always the same thing, to reconnect people back to themselves. To reconnect people back to themselves, and then reconnect back to each other, to reconnect back to the planet, and then eventually reconnect back to the divine. And I, because of the nature of this work, my intention is to help as many people as much as I can, as fast as I can. So that first experience, the plan is to basically go through the breath work, learn the breath work, learn how to switch yourself off, to out your head, to stop thinking. Complete peace of mind is literally and absolutely guaranteed. When I take you through the breath work, it will be impossible to think. I'm going to teach you how to switch off the thoughts and get out your head. And then once that's done, then it's the intentional breath. Then we're going to be actually going inside and asking questions and reconnecting back into the self, back into you, which again for a lot of people is going to sound like madness, like what's he talking about? But this human being experience, your name and your badge and all the stuff that you do, that's just a tiny wee bit of it. That's just like the meat suit, the vehicle for this essence, this divine essence that we carry inside of us. So once we are out of the head, once the stress is switched off, once we actually stop and we learn how to stop and slow it down to the point where you can't think, then we're going to reconnect back into your heart and back into yourself, and eventually, hopefully for many, back into the soul. Back into that space where the divine rests within every single one of us. That's the plan. That's what this is all about. The reset and reconnect is back to you, because once that happens, and again, you can't get this by listening about it. You need to come and experience it. You need to come and go through the process. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It just sounds, I know how it sounds mental. I grew up in building sites, it sounds bananas, I get it. What was he talking about? Consciousness, God, meditate, what is that? So you need to basically go through the experience and be educated and it put together for you so you can get the experience. Because once you get the experience, once you understand what meditation is, once you feel what meditation is, then to not do that, you would be off your nut. So it swings the complete, all the way around, right, the whole circle, right back from people coming in and being sceptical and questioning what it is, and what's this nutcase talking about God and consciousness, and then learning to breathe, switching it off, getting a break for themselves, into the meditation, reconnecting back into the heart, back into the soul. And then, for many people, it's literal enlightenment. It's a direct experience of who they really are, which is goodness. It's divine. We bring it in with us. We are children of the divine. We come in with it. This work is to reconnect you back to it. And this is a bridge. When you reconnect back to it, miracles take place. Dead simple. When you remember the power that's inside you, because it's always there. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter the trauma, the decimation, the abuse, whatever it is. You've been left for dead, and it's like you're broken in ways that you never get back for. That there's a divine spark that's in every single one of us. That when you reconnect back to it, things shift very, very quickly. Quantum experiences and quantum shifts can happen inside one moment. It's fascinating, it's powerful, it's beautiful to watch, to see someone take back their power. And then from that point, then the journey begins. Then the intentional journey and the intentional life. Once you reset and reconnect back, that's when the work really begins. That's when the journey starts. And, for that kind of work, you need to be aware of, that's my intention on Sunday and with all the events, is to take you inside. I use this work as a tool for helping people find relief and to help them heal themselves. We're not doing it for them. The presence of the divine and the meditation and the breathwork and the cold exposure and all of this stuff like awareness and intention and being in alignment, that's where the healing takes place, absolutely. But the work to get there, it's heavy going. I mean, it can be, when you stop, a group of human beings and we all get into meditation at the same time. And the way that I'm doing it, if there's anything in there, you'll be given the opportunity to bring stuff up and to get it out. So at that point, you need to remember it. If it's in there and it's bothering you, and some people carry about all the time. Some people, it's their only thoughts, that they're thinking about all the time, and then manifesting the dis-ease through that because of what it generates within the body. So when you have the opportunity in this sacred space to go inside and feel what it is, and then be given the opportunity to get it up and to get it out, then there can be a lot of tears. Absolutely. Every event that I do, I say I can do two things. I can put people to sleep and I can help them find tears. Helping people to find the tears of relief, the tears of, the healing tears, tears of gratitude are fantastic, tears of joy, absolutely. Tears of love. There's so many different types of tears. The healing tears that come through normally in the beginning of a session. Once we get into it, experiencing it and going through it again, if you maybe need to go through it again one last time, to feel what it is within the body or where it's trapped within the body. At that point, the opportunity is to get it up and to get it out, and the power of the breath and the power of intention and the power of this field and this work and the combined kind of group, as well as my intention. Where we're going with it is to get everything up and get everything out, and then we're going to replace it. So that's why in that space, children are they're not welcome. Oh my God forgive me. Friends are not welcome, but it's not the space for them, and that applies up to, I would say, mid to late teens, 16, 17, 18, and a lot of children in that age group, they absolutely need it. There's no question about it. I'm thinking a lot and working on that in the background just now, what we can do for the children, because so many of them, especially since COVID, what they're having to deal with is something we need to provide something for to help them make their way through it. They're the ones that are going to have to deal with this shit show for the next 20, 30, 40 years. We're going to have to be able to escape it, us, the older generation, but the young ones that are coming up, they're the ones going to have to live in it and be in it. So again, passing on these tools and techniques is absolutely part of the plan. But for this on Sunday, for this particular event, bringing your children, it doesn't really work. And also to be said, bringing your pals, it doesn't really work. If you're drawn to this, on the post this morning, and I'm thinking about it coming into this, it's really just for those that are seeking. I'm watching some of the comments on the groups and the people that have signed up, and they're putting teams together and like, who fancies this, and a lot of the cold water groups as well are getting on about it, which is great. But this isn't really that, this isn't something that's just like a wee day out and let's go and see how it goes. You can come and do that, there's no question about it, but be aware If you're drawn to it yourself, come and get it for yourself. If you're a wee bit anxious or you're a wee bit nervous or you're feeling a wee bit uncertain, because you're going to be going yourself and you think everybody's going to be there in big groups, that isn't the way that it is. Of all the dozens that I've done of these now, it's normally ones and twos, and if you're lucky, you'll have somebody else that that's into this kind of work, and come with them. That's great, but normally, and in my experience with doing this work and travelling a fair bit of the world, like trying to find answers for myself, go yourself. Go and do it for yourself and get it for yourself. And I've seen it a couple of times this week. Again, I say all the time, stop trying to get to people. And I'm constantly with Michael and Fern talking about, we can't sell this can't be sold, it needs to be experienced. We can't give it to anybody. It needs to be a certain set of circumstances that need to basically show up and unfold where people are drawn to it. It's always been organic. That's why it's really challenging for me just now when we're being proactive with it and we're trying to take it to people. It's interesting, let's just put it that way, watching it unfold and everything that comes with it. Whereas the ones that are drawn to it, the ones that really need it, the ones that come in organically, that are on Facebook or Instagram or they meet somebody in the gym or at work and they're basically asking for help in some way, and somebody will pass it on, and then they make the kind of the path into the vortex that way. That's normally the best way that it works, So with all the love in my heart, and I understand people's intentions to give this to loved ones and people that are really needing it, but it never ever really works, So I would come and get it for yourself. If you're drawn to it, if you're on a healing journey in particular, if you're needing to find your own relief, you really want to come yourself, because you want to be selfish and tend to yourself and get up and get out whatever it is that needs to come up, and if you're bringing one of your pals with you, then of course it changes things, doesn't it? And when the tears do come up, very important we don't stop the tears. That's the people, the ones that are run about me within the programme and my students. It's like you'd never stop tears. You can give them a hug at some point, but it's when you see somebody crying that the desire is to jump in and to help them, find their relief and find some soothing, by basically stopping their tears. And you've got to let it come through you. The pain and the suffering and the hurt and whatever it is that's inside you, that needs to come out. Absolutely, it does. So I'm expecting tears on Sunday. Tears of relief, could be tears of grief. Again, grieving something that I'm probably going to be talking about. We don't understand how to grieve properly. Maybe we did after the fit the other night. A nation grieving, oh my God. But to grieve, what death is and how death is sold to us and heaven and hell and purgatory and all that good stuff. It's again, there are so many things that cause us distress and disease just through our ignorance. And this work, the intention with this work, the desire with this work, is to show a different way of doing it through direct experience. That's what it's all about, And when we go in, once we go through the breath work and you learn how to breathe and you switch yourself off, and then we go inside, the plan is to reconnect back to the divine through meditation. Meditation is what it's all about. This whole thing that I'm doing is to reconnect people back to the divine. That's what it is. It happens first and foremost with the self and then with each other. So a big group like Sunday, we're all going to be best pals by the end of it. We're all going to be as one, connected together with each other. But the divine is a big part of it, and then really, I suppose, normalising and making meditation something that isn't seen as kind of Eastern or woo-woo or rainbows and unicorns or soft, because most people don't know what meditation is. Most people believe that meditation is to escape, and to find some sort of peace of mind. And that isn't it. That would be relaxation or contemplation as well. When you're in a silent space of contemplation, that's very different from meditation. Meditation, the sole intention and the purpose of it is to reconnect back to God. It's to reconnect back to the divine. That's inside every single one of us. That's what meditation is. To go in meditation, it can be a very active process. It's obviously a very powerful process when it's done and experienced properly, because it's inside of us. This divinity that we carry. Again, that can be a massive jump. I'm listening to myself talk, but that can be a massive jump for a lot of people. But that's the plan. That is the plan. That's the shift that's going to take place inside this couple of hours. Once we switch off the nervous system and go inside, with my guided intentional language, is to reconnect you back to the divine. And it's done through feelings, and it's done through emotions, and it's done through a really powerful journey that will change your life. We're looking for miracles. There's no question about it. We love the miracles. Miracles are great. The amount of miracles I'm hearing just now in terms of people manifesting stuff into their lives, people like changing everything in their lives and going in a different direction, and fulfilling their lives and feeling happy and being joyful and smiling again and healing themselves. Literal miracles, just by getting on about this way of living, this work, which once you experience it, it shouldn't be hard. it really shouldn't be hard. You know, the thought of getting up every day now within the programme, Monday to Friday, there's a 5:30 meditation. And it's just fascinating watching me going through it. I looked like a bag of spanners this morning after that coffee yesterday, and obviously no sleeping. But it's just fascinating watching me and how much I'm getting out of it, you know, by being able to sit in meditation. It was 18 this morning, sitting in meditation, you know, just sitting in silence. And because the group is now, you know, trained in terms of we know how to get out our heads and reconnect back into our hearts and into our feelings and our emotions, the combined vortex within that group, and what it's doing for me, but as well as the other people that are in the group, if that's hard, you know, if that's seen as hard or challenging for people to get up out of their bed early in the morning or at some point in the day to go and experience that. I mean, for the entire journey for me up until recently, it's been on my own. And when I'm taking people through it in the groups, I don't really get to experience it. I think that's why I'm enjoying this so much, because I'm in the meditation. Certainly Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. Wednesday's more guided. But those 4 days, it's basically me in meditation for an hour with the people within the programme. And the connections that I'm feeling, you know, I suppose, like being surrounded with that pure intention, that intelligence of the heart, people in their souls, like feeling love, and people sitting in gratitude and being joyful. And then watching how, you know, that then moves into their life, because we're seeing it in the group every day. You know, we're seeing what's happening to people in their jobs, you know, that 6 months ago or a year ago was making them want to end their lives, literally, for some people. And then you watch them now, you know, nothing's changed. The environment's still the exact same. But, you know, by experiencing alignment, by experiencing the power of the breath and this intentional life and the programme and the way of living, you know, how everything changes, you know. So it's really exciting. It really is. It's powerful stuff. And Sunday's going to be a powerful day. Numbers wise, has never really concerned me. If there's one person there, I will do it. If there's nobody there, I'll sit in meditation, because, you know, the intention, the plan is to give it to those who are seeking. We're not trying to like shove it down anybody's throat or force it upon anybody. I know how that works. It doesn't. So that the plan is to basically offer this gift for free, to bring people in, to let them see what it is that I'm talking about, and then most importantly, give them the experience of it. You know, so the breath work, the relaxation, and then, you know, to understand what meditation is, to leave a meditation practice, you know, and then hopefully if I do my job properly, at that point, you know, it's then how you can't wait to get up the next morning and get into it again, whether it's with yourself or whether it's on the programme, whatever it is, how you do it and find your own way with it. You know, so all of that, you know, the whole thing, the whole process getting to that point of reconnection and union and meditation, once you're in alignment, and alignment just means, to me, it came through Abraham Hicks, as above, so below. So the higher self and the lower self, the one that's connected to the divine, and then the lower egotistical Jim, you know, making his way through life, the struggles and the stresses and the dis-ease, whatever it is that we're going through as human beings. You know, but to be in full alignment means to be in the flow, you know, to be in spirit, to be inspired, to be in that place, and to take that into your life. You know, that's where the meditation and that first probably hour and a half of the process is going to take people. And then at that point, once we come to and once we come back, once the tears and the snotters have been dried up, then we're going to get into the sea. Then we're going to get a dip. And most people have got a cold exposure practice. Over the last group we did was 170 people there. There's probably 3 or 4 that didn't use cold exposure, you know, for whatever reason, which is fantastic. So I'm going to give you my take on that, and show you the stuff that I know about cold exposure and how it leads into, you know, this way of living. Absolutely part of the programme. And that's how we make it repeatable and how we make it easy and how we make it something that calls you back when you need it, so you can use it easily. If you'd have saw me at 5 o'clock this morning when I came in here, and then fast forward to about 6:45, finished the meditation 6:30, probably 20 to 7, and then my wife had actually just finished. She was working early this morning. She was just in the shower and in the ice tub. And if you'd have watched, and it was I needed it, so it wasn't even a question, but it's like, you're humming and hawing a wee bit because I'm feeling a wee bit grumpy and I'm not really feeling because of the lack of sleep. And inside 3-4 minutes, getting out and standing in that shower and just standing under it and then jumping into the cold. For how long? Maybe a minute and a half, maybe. Feeling the stress response, you know, just breathing my way through it, a couple of hums to calm the nervous system, to stimulate the vagus nerve. And then what stepped out of the barrel and then back into the shower and just wash all that off, and then standing in the grass for a couple of minutes. The whole thing probably took 10 minutes from deciding I was going to do it and then watching what walked through the door again. It's literally like putting a cape on. That's what it feels like. It's like taking back your power and opening up things. Off the back of that, I had a fantastic opportunity to bring some stuff up, and that was unexpected, but you take it when you can, when there's things come up and there's there's awareness has come up as to, you know, what it is that you're dealing with, or why you're not quite where you would like to be, which I am not just now. As I will continue to say until I'm there, I'm just trying to work it out. I'm working it out for myself, and I'm passing it on. I see a lot of the people that are maybe a couple of steps behind me. Some of them are more, some of them are 27 years behind me, and they're just getting into it. But it happens very, very quickly, the catch up, you know, and this is all I'm doing with this, is passing on the stuff that I'm working on myself every single day. I'm not there yet. I'm not. I'm still working it out. It's coming in waves. It's coming in different levels. The healing that I'm doing on myself. But these tools, these techniques, these practices, you know, the modalities, this way of living, it's options and choices to make things better. That's basically what it is. And depending on how much you need it will depend on how much you do it once you know how it goes together. And at that point, it depends how far you want to take it. You know, for me, I'm probably a wee bit stagnant just now. I've been teaching for the last probably 6 years. And never really stopped doing the work on myself completely, but I'm not doing it the way that I need to be doing it at this stage of my life, you know, getting older and starting to creak a wee bit. There's things that I now need to be bringing into my life. So this next phase is exciting for me. Went from being the athlete and the warrior up to the last 6 or 7 years about passing it on and trying to help people and serve people and taking it to the world. And at that time, you know, it's been detrimental to me, absolutely, you know, in terms of my own physical health and well-being and nervous system, and the amount of heartbeats that I've got left after the last 6 years with the stuff that I've dealt with. It's no easy, you know, so I am on this healing journey myself. We're in this together, and you know, this is what makes me happy. Helping people takes the onus and the I suppose the focus from myself and the stuff that I'm dealing with, because the minute I put it in somebody else, the minute I'm trying to help somebody else, then everything changes within me, you know. So that's my awareness, that's my work, that's what the Vortex is to pass it on. Which is exciting, you know. So the mission is to take it to the world. That's it. The mission is to share it with as many people that are as interested in it. Whoever shows up, whoever comes, whoever's seeking answers, holistic ways of doing things, it's for them. That's what the mission is, to take it to as many people as possible. It's a mini tour, 4 dates in Scotland. I would love to take it to the world. I'd love to take it to England and Wales and Ireland and then take it further beyond, which is absolutely the plan, you know, because it's universal. Well, that's what I see all the time. Doesn't matter who comes in, when we lie down, and the Asians and people from the East and even India, it's people with like more spiritual, I suppose. Different parts of the world, that the spirituality isn't quite as woohoo as it is here. At the end of it, there's every single time, no matter who is in the room, they will always make time and acknowledge, you know, the divinity in God, and you know, they get the prayer hands a lot. It's a silent exchange a lot of the time. Which needs to be normal in this country, you know. The relationship we have with God in churches and in chapels and religion, and you know, it's like it's not there for whatever reason. It's not there, so we need to rekindle that, because it's such a vital part of what it is that we're all about. You know, so that's the mission. The mission is very simple: to help as many people as possible. The intention is to share and give people the opportunity to get on about this work, to get on about, you know, the stuff that I'm sharing. There's loads of different ways to do that. You can come to the free events. There's stuff on at the Vortex weekly. There's a programme which is every single day. If you're called and you want to start making shifts, there's one-on-one coaching through the Vortex. There's corporate gigs that I'm doing. There's so many different ways that we're trying our best at the minute. Things are shifting and changing at an accelerating rate, thanks to Michael and Fern, who you will meet very soon. The plan is to do a squadcast. That's what it's going to be, the squadcast. I'm going to bring on and introduce you the team, the Vortex team. Michael and Fern are a huge part of that. They're the reason I'm sitting in front of this camera just now at this stage, and how quickly all this has happened with the Godcast and the programme online and all that kind of good stuff. So I would love, you know, for them to come on. And then off the back of that, there's also other people that I'm now going to start introducing. A lot of people that have done work through the Vortex. I think it's very important for them to come on and explain their situation, you know, the stuff that they've been dealing with. And you know, their journey within this work, the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows, you know, making their way through it. I think that's something that would be great for people to hear. And it's going to start with Michael and Fern. We'll get them on, the Vortex team, and the stage of the journey that they're at, which is just incredible. Now, just over a year, I think it was last week, it was a year the first time that we met each other, when I did a talk at the Financial Freedom Summit in Glasgow. And it's just amazing, you know, and I believe that I went to do that summit to meet them. I believe that's what I did. I did it for free. I did it to help, as always. A lot of people get a great experience that day. I did an hour-long talk very different from everything else that they heard and all the stuff that was sold to them that weekend, and the people that were there and their stories and the business opportunities that were presented, and you know how all that played out. And then there's me went in and basically told my story and took people through a guided relaxation and meditation. And what it did to Michael and to Fern, and what it did for them both, you know, and then fast forward just over a year as to where they are just now and their involvement within this, it's just absolutely blessed and really excited and just so happy to have them in it with me. So important for people to know them and to see who they are. Everything matters at this stage of the game, absolutely. We're all on this same mission together. And then obviously the other ones, the inner circle and the people that are on about it as well, further down the line. That's something that I would love, you know, people to see and hear these testimonials and these experiences of people doing the work. Very, very powerful. You know, so that's the plan. It's going to be Sunday morning. All the details, there will be a link on this video, either on the Vortex page, new Vortex page on Instagram, just to separate my stuff and my madness from just the work. A lot of people are tuning in and going, where do we go? Yeah, so the plan, thanks to Fern, was to basically, you know, have a separate page that people can just go in and see the workshops and how they get access to being run about it. And also, obviously, Facebook as well, the Vortex page, or Jim McFadyen. Just changed the name back. It was always James McFadyen. I get asked that a lot. Why is it James McFadyen? And to be honest with you, I was never James my whole life, ever. I really didn't like the name James. I was always Jim. I am only Jim. I'd never been called James until I went online. Never really liked that name. And when it started the kind of the social media public, you know, the stuff back in 2016 when the Vortex opened. At the time, and I'm thinking back a lot just now as to why I did it. At the time, my grandfather was James. I was called after my grandfather, my dad's dad, who was known as Sonny. He had 7 or 8 or 9 sisters. He was the only boy, and he was my absolute double. He died, I think, in his 90s. He had the white curly hair, and he was a boy soldier sold to the British Army at 12, and then he trained the commandos for the war. His ship was turned back, I believe, just whenever the bombs went off and the atomic bombs, and the war was stopped. So he escaped that, and the connection that I felt with him on this journey over, maybe started about 15 years ago, probably 5 years after he died, and my connection with him, thanks to one of my teachers who was basically bringing in information about my granda and how powerful he was, and all this kind of stuff, really interesting. So when I went online, I decided to take my name as James, because that's the name I was given, and because it felt like a protective, almost like a veil for my granddad. Really strange. And that's just the way that it was, you know. It was James McFadyen. It felt like almost my stage name, and anybody that really knew me was Jim. They would call me Jim. So I've just been thinking about it. It's been bugging me a wee bit recently, and I thought, you know what, I'm known as Jim, and it was causing confusion. People were asking, and they were almost like didn't know whether to call me James or Jim, and so that's why the Facebook page is back to Jim McFadyen. A wee bit of kind of trivia for you there. And yeah, all the links, all the events, you know, whether it's coming here, whether it's getting on the programme, whether it's going to the Reset and Reconnect up at Dundee, or whether you're going to Aberdeen the following week, or Ayrshire the weekend after that, or whether it's going to be Loch Lomond, the final one. Everything's on there, all the information, all the details, what you're going to need, who you need to speak to if you have any questions. Anybody can come, as I mentioned, the Wayne's probably not. If you're pregnant, then you can come. I would not advise cold exposure. I wouldn't advise any kind of stressful breathing. Again, if you're coming, the disclaimer will say that you'll need to basically sign your life away and take full responsibility for every single thing that comes up. This is on you, you know, taking full responsibility. The ability to respond is on you, this journey. You know, and it's deep stuff, you know, so you need to be aware of that. And there will be footage as well. There'll be digital footage, and it will be released online. So if you don't like that, either don't come or hide whenever you see a camera. That's the best way to get on about that. All the disclaimers will be in place this time for people cutting about in their swimmies. And really excited, you know, to take it to the country. I'm really excited to share what it is that I've learned along the way, how it's helped me, and what's helped me and how it continues to help me. When I look in the world just now and see the stuff we're struggling with, it is custom made, it really is, and everything gets better. Doesn't matter what you're coming in with, you know, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, you know, whatever it is, whatever the label is, whatever the damage that has been done on any level of you, or, you know, the physical self and the emotional self and the heart and the soul, and there's a way back. There really is. I believe in miracles. I expect miracles. I know how miracles work. If you can reconnect back to God, if you can reconnect back to the divine, then expect miracles. Because you become something way greater than the sum of this grossness, this third dimension human beingness, the lower realms. The mind and the intellect and the ego, and even the physical. We can transcend that, and we can bring in a different energy by upregulating through these practices, these tools and techniques, the breath work and the relaxation, then the meditation. Miracles can take place, and when you think of things like cold exposure, what it does for the inflammation within the body, and you start to add in the correct way of sleeping and eating maybe a wee bit better, and taking the kind of the energy stuff and the caffeine and the sugars out your diet, then things can get better very quickly. So very, very excited to share it. Looking forward to it very much. We're going to be there Sunday morning. It'll be about 3 hours, the event, Broughty Ferry Beach, which I've never been to before. Michael and Fern have picked a location. Fern is from up that way originally. So excited to see that. And anybody that's coming, really please say hello, introduce yourself. Hang about after it. There's going to be a load of us there from the inner circle, those of us that are working, and then also the ones that are on the programme as well, the Vortex inner circle. So any questions you've got, relating to the work or how it goes together, or how it's specific to you, how it can help you. If I don't know, then I absolutely will know somebody. Especially with there's so many teachers just now in the world. I'm thinking people like Anthony Williams and Joe Dispenza and the healers of the world that are bringing in this new information, how we're able to find relief and find healing, and I'm running about them all. I've watched them all and I've seen their stuff. So if I don't know, then or it's not something that I'm presenting, then there'll be somebody I am absolutely sure that will help you on your journey and on your path. Onwards and upwards. Looking forward to seeing you all on Sunday if you're coming. If not that, then Aberdeen, which I'm really looking forward to. I think Aberdeen's going to be great. I've not been there since I saw Celtic play. I was at high school. I bus up on a Tuesday night. It was like a cup tie. I think we got back into Wishy about 2 a.m. So looking forward to seeing Aberdeen again, and getting some wind in the sails and keeping moving it forward, keeping it going, keeping spreading this mission, which is to help people, spreading this work, the way, which is the divine way. It's not my way, it's the divine way. It's back to balance and back into coherence with the way that it's meant to be. Back into alignment with nature, back into alignment with yourself, with the environment, and what we see as, what we experience as a people start to find relief, and start to find back to the way that it's meant to be. That's what it's all about, to reconnect and to remember how it's meant to be, and then making it the best that you can every single day, to hopefully one day get to that place where we all fulfill our potential, and then we can move on to whatever's next. Love and light, peace out as always, send them my best, and bye for now.